Hey guys, Tonight Marine here with another video. This one is a Q&A. I got a few questions from some people and figured I'd take a little time to try and answer them. The first question is kind of just about MCT, Marine Combat Training, which everybody will do once they're done with boot camp unless they're infantry. If they're infantry, they'll go to SOI, the School of Infantry, and they'll spend, I want to say SOI is about 3 months. I think if there's any grunts that watch this, feel free to clarify that if I'm wrong. But yeah, about 3 months. And MCT is essentially a condensed version of it. It's not nearly as in depth. There's a lot of stuff you won't go over that the infantry guys do, simply because they need to know it. That is their one and only job, and they need a lot more practice at it than everyone else does. But you will learn basic patrolling techniques. You'll learn more about your weapons. You'll get to fire. Oh, what do you get to fire? I think they'll at least demonstrate the SAW, the 240, maybe even the Mark 19, which is the grenade launcher, the 50 cal, I'm sure. A bunch of different weapons you'll get to see. You'll go out, you'll do a bunch of marches. You'll go out and you'll do like patrols, and you'll set up a little position out in the middle of Camp Pendleton or Camp Lejeune, wherever you go, and then the instructors will attack you, or the platoons will attack you, and it's just kind of back and forth. And it's a lot to learn in about a month is how long MCT is, but it's good stuff. And you'll probably really enjoy it. I mean, if you're infantry, you'll obviously do the SOI version, which is just a crap ton more of info. It goes into a lot more depth. Because infantry stuff, people say grunts are stupid, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of the shit that they need to know is very, very critical. And if you don't know it and you don't do it well, you will get yourself and your guys killed. So it's definitely some important skills that you need to learn. The next question is about MCMAP. MCMAP stands for Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, if I'm not mistaken. It essentially is some basic self-defense stuff that you'll learn. When you get out of boot camp, you will have your tan belt. And the crap you learn in boot camp for MCMAP is so basic, it's ridiculous. It's some basic arm locks and like punching, how to punch properly. Just really easy stuff. If you've ever done martial arts before the Marine Corps, you'll find it to be a joke, and it really is. I mean, it gives you some basic stuff, which I guess if you don't know anything about it, it's better than nothing, but it's really not too intense. Gray belt, you learn a little bit more, which is the second belt, but it's not, again, in my opinion, it wasn't anything really special. Once you hit green belt, they start to get a bit more technical. You learn a few more, different moves and ways to deal with certain situations. And then past that, when you get to brown, and then if you ever get your black belt, is where the stuff really starts to hit home. And it's actually, I only got to the gray belt during my time in. We just never had time to advance past that. But a friend of mine is actually an instructor at the Marine Corps Martial Arts instructor place over in, where is he at? In Virginia, I think. So he instructs the instructors. That'll teach you guys, that'll teach the drill instructors, stuff like that. And some of that stuff's pretty cool. It definitely is. You'll learn some cool shit. So, and most people usually will have the opportunity to pursue that a bit more. I'm sure your unit may even qualify you up to at least green belt, and then you have to spend extra time out of your day to do brown and maybe eventually black. But if you enjoy that sort of stuff, I definitely recommend it. It can be pretty cool the higher up you get. The next question is, what is my opinion on soldiers, on army soldiers? I think you'll get a mix of good and bad. I've definitely had my experience of some nasty, fucking soldiers that are just fat and lazy, and you wouldn't trust them with fucking anything. But at the same time, I've known some very, very, very competent soldiers. One of my friends now is actually in Afghanistan for his second or third time, and they were in his last time that they were there. They lost a bunch of dudes. They were involved in one of the biggest firefights that have ever happened in Afghanistan. And he's a ranger with, I'm not sure which unit he's with, but there are good soldiers out there, and he's definitely among them. And it's hit or miss. I mean, and you'll find Marines like that too. You'll find some Marines that are just terrible. They've essentially given up and, don't give a shit. But I mean, we're gonna razz the Army just like we're gonna razz the Coast Guard and the Air Force and the Navy. But everyone has their good guys. Like the Air Force, they're special ops. They're what do they call them? Parajumpers, something. I can't remember. But they're the dudes that do the search and rescue. They'll go rescue down pilots. That for our birds they get shot down or they crash or whatever the case. And those guys are pretty hardcore. The Coast Guards, I have some friends that do that, and they're part of the boarding teams that take out like drug cartel boats, and there's some hardcore dudes. So I mean, you'll find tough dudes in no matter what branch you go to. You just gotta know that not everybody that you meet in it is a piece of crap. There are plenty of them out there just throughout the military in general, but not everybody is. What's my opinion on moto tats? Motivational tattoos, as it were. I think they're fine. I think that you should not get one before boot camp. Don't go get, U.S. Marines or an Eagle Globe and Anchor or like a M16 or 1775 or anything like that. Don't get none of that shit before boot camp, because if you do, your drill instructors are going to see you naked, and they're going to see it. And if they see you with one of these tattoos, then they will make you hate your life, because you haven't earned the title Marine yet, and frankly, you don't deserve that sort of tattoo. I think the only acceptable version of that before boot camp is if you had a family member or a close friend that was, a Marine, and maybe they were killed, in action somewhere. Then I think that would be acceptable. But pretty much anything outside that before boot camp, you're gonna get fucked with hard. Afterwards, if you want to get it, that's completely up to you. Make sure you are within the tattoo regulations. They're getting more and more strict about what you can and can't have. So I think you definitely need to pay attention to that. But I mean, it's fine. I'm sure your friends will give you a hard time about it, but pretty much everyone gets some sort of moto tat, whether it's an Eagle Globe and Anchor, or like I have USMC on my right forearm. And so it just varies. And it's going to happen. Guys will make fun of you, but then you'll fucking see 2 weeks later that they have one as well. So, you can tell them to suck it. Another question is, did I ever do any sort of infantry work? Yes, I did. We did infantry stuff in Iraq, in Rupa, in Barwana, which Barwana is like south of the dam, underneath the dam, about an hour. So yeah, we did our fair amount of that sort of stuff. We didn't get anything intense, as I've said before, but we trained for that before our deployment, and we went on plenty of convoys, plenty of foot patrols through Barwana, and we did just all sorts of shit like that too, in addition to shooting howitzers. And that's the thing about artillery, is artillery seems to be the jack of all trades. Like my battery before I went on deployment with them, they were prison guards, not in Fallujah. I don't remember. They were prison guards somewhere. And before that, they shot artillery for the invasion when we hit, when they were hitting Baghdad and they fucked up Safwan Hill. So I mean, there's just a whole variety of things that artillery does, and so if you end up with artillery, chances are you're going to be doing multiple things. Especially with the way it seems like wars will be happening now, is that we'll hit them hard with artillery in the beginning, and then from there it'll be sporadic, and they're not just going to have you sit on your ass for your whole deployment. They're going to have you doing infantry work, doing patrols, doing stuff like that. So just know that that's what you'll do. I can't say the same for other MOSs. It's just hit or miss, really, for that. I can't really speak to those. I was asked about advice on the confidence course. I don't know if I know it by that name. I'm assuming that when you guys ask about that, you were talking about the obstacle course that you do in boot camp, which is, like essentially a huge jungle gym, and you're like climbing up the rope, and you go up to like the monkey bars that get really high off the ground, and all that sort of crap. And if that's what it is, let me know. If I'm wrong, send me a link, message me a link to what you're talking about, and then so I can see what you're talking about. And also, you may be talking about the rappelling that you do towards the end of boot camp. All that stuff. If I know some guys said you're afraid of heights, and that's completely understandable. Heights. No one wants to fall off something tall. That would suck. But it's just like anything else. You can't let your fear overcome your goals. You can't. If you want to be a Marine, you're going to freaking rappel off whatever they want you to. You're going to climb up whatever they want to. You're going to do whatever because it's something you want. And I think that once you get there, and once you're getting ready to do whatever it is, you're going to be so pumped up on adrenaline, and you're going to just want to bust it out, get it done, because it's one more step closer to becoming a Marine that you're just going to fly through it. You won't even realize it. And honestly, for me, none of that stuff scared me. I'm not afraid of heights. I mean, obviously I don't want to, like I said a minute ago, don't want to fall off stuff, but heights just don't really do anything for me. But honestly, if it really does, I think you should just put that in your mind. Don't think about the fact that you're 20 feet off the ground or whatever. Just freaking computer. Just focus on what you need to do and get it done. Don't stress yourself out. Don't worry about it, because they're going to go over everything you need to know. It's not like you're going to go into it blind. So just, you'll see once you get there. You really will. You'll face this shit, and when you're done, you'll be like, man, that was nothing. I can do, something twice as hard as that. It's no big deal. I had a question about, would I be willing to pwn kids in WoW? And if by that you mean like PvP against other players, then absolutely. I wouldn't necessarily I would pwn them, because I'm a healer generally in WoW. But I've been doing PvP with some friends lately, and it's actually pretty fun. We're doing arena and whatnot. But I really suck at PvP. Otherwise, if I had to do damage against somebody, I would get freaking owned. But that's just me. But yeah, if anyone ever wanted to play and you have an account, let me know. My time is pretty limited, and so I apologize if I can't play with whoever may want to, whether it's WoW or War Thunder or DayZ. If I have time, I certainly will, but my time is pretty much limited to late night Friday night and Saturday nights, because those are the nights I currently have off work. And yeah, so if I'm online, and if you guys are going to be online at those times, and you send me your info, then we'll see what we can do and play some WoW and whatever else. Another question is my opinion on the food. The food, when you're not deployed, is pretty good. The chow hall can actually be really amazing. I know most chow halls have Taco Tuesday, where they have a taco bar, and it's amazing. You'll love it. In the mornings, you'll get breakfast. You can make omelets, or they'll make them for you. You just tell them what you want on the omelet, and they'll make it. You can have scrambled eggs. You can have whatever you want, essentially. The breakfasts are pretty legit. It's my favorite part of the day. When you deploy, it's a different story. You'll most likely be eating MREs. If you're lucky, you might be on a base that has like a full-on chow hall and you'll get legit meals, but otherwise you're going to be eating like crap for 7 months essentially. In boot camp, the food's actually pretty decent, but you're going to eat it so fast you're not even going to realize it. You literally have like minutes, sometimes less than that, to eat all your food and be out the door. So I mean, you just got to be ready for it. But yeah, I appreciate the questions. Actually, I did have one more. Someone was asking what request mast is. Request mast is when you basically, so say you get in trouble for something and you disagree with how you were treated, you disagree maybe with the punishment, whatever it is, you can request mast, and that will take it up past whoever did the punishment. You know, say your SAS sergeant did it, it would go up generally to the captain, so your company commander, and then if they don't deal with it and you still want to request mast, you can go to the battalion commander, and you technically can go all the way up to the commandant. I don't recommend doing it. Not that you shouldn't ensure that you're treated fairly, but at the same time, don't do it just because your butt hurt that, you know, you got caught and the staff sergeant was mean to you. That'll black mark you for your platoon for the rest of your time, and it'll just make your life harder. Shit's gonna suck as lower enlisted in the Marine Corps. It just is. You're going to be treated unfairly. You're not going to like it. You're going to hate your life a lot. But that's what you signed up for. It really is. To be the best, you got to deal with some shitty-ass situations. And, I mean, if shit gets really bad and things are just, you know, just getting insane, then sure, go ahead and do it. But think carefully about it. Make sure it's actually a legit concern, because otherwise you'll piss people off and they'll make you think that you can't be trusted because you're, you know, whining and this and that, and that's just not what you want. But yeah, guys, I definitely appreciate the questions. If I get a whole bunch more, you know, I'll continue to do the Q&As. I like them because I can knock out a bunch of stuff at the same time. But, you know, if I only get one or two questions here and there, then I can just either make a video on it or just respond to the comments. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching as always. If you have any questions, hit me up here on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Alright guys, I'll catch you next time. Semper Fi.